Welcome to the Mulligan's Fitness Podcast, and I have with me today Sarah, an absolute legend from within the Mulligan's Method, who has achieved a lot over the last couple of months, and it's been amazing to kind of witness your journey and meet you a few times as well, which is class. And has sights on an absolutely huge goal this year to achieve a walk from London to Brighton, which is over 100 kilometers. Do you
I think it is 102 that we walk all together.
Yeah, which is absolutely mental. For somebody that really struggled at walking at the beginning to now going to this point where we're pushing ourselves on, which is class. So just give a little introduction to yourself, Sarah, who you are, where you started before joining the Mulligan's Method, and where you are now.
Well, I'm Sarah. I live in Essex. I run a pub, and life gets very hectic, and I spent a year of feeling really ill. I just couldn't get better. And the doctors kept telling me, this is because you're overweight, because you're a smoker. And I thought, you're wrong. I've been an overweight smoker for a long time, and I never felt like this. And so I decided that I needed to lose some weight, and I needed to stop smoking, and I needed to get healthier so that I could show them that actually there was something else underneath it. And so it was my health that made me go, do you know what, you've got to do something about this. So January, I stopped smoking. I'm now 10 months without a cigarette. March, I found a little Irishman on the internet, and I thought, he's quite funny. Maybe I can listen to him. And since joining in with you, I have now lost just over 4 stone, 26 kilo.
Crazy.
Heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think at lightning speed, Sarah, I don't think you quite understand how many people you've inspired, and not only those people within the program. Myself, from the first time I met you in Phoenix Park, when I organised, this is my one memory where I'm like, oh fuck, I feel so bad. We organised Phoenix Park. I said Phoenix Park and didn't organise anything for all of us to meet up at. And then we're like, oh, we'll go for a short walk to the coffee shop, and it was about 4 miles away.
Yeah, and never, ever, ever trusting you on a short walk again. Let's go for a short walk. Yeah, right. It was a nice day.
Yeah, and I think you pushed yourself past where you thought you could as well. Like, I'm so proud of you for that day as well, looking back at it, because it was so stressful with everybody else fucking sprinting off to the coffee shop. But going back to the 27 kilos that you lost, and kind of your position where you joined in, obviously, with the health implications and stuff like that, and wanting to prove to the doctor that there's more to it than just your weight. I suppose, where did you start? So coming from that position where a lot of people would feel overwhelmed with a lot going on with their health and find it difficult to start doing anything and feel doomed. How did you get Sarah to actually take action or to do something about
it? To be honest, I'm a really quick, decisive person. Once I decide, let's do it, I just do it. As you may have noticed since I've joined the group, it's kind of what I do. Are we going to do it? Yeah, do it now. Go on. Yeah, let's do it. So once I joined up with you and kind of listened to some of the things that we were talking about, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It was literally starting with little steps of doing things. I'd drink more water. I started with, I could only do 2,000 steps in a day, and literally by the end of that, well, I couldn't even do 2,000 steps without being out of breath and feeling in pain and all sorts of kind of problems. And so I just started an extra 100 steps a day, a bit further. This week I'm going to do 2,500 steps. This week I'm going to do 3,000 steps a day, and built it up to being able to do more. And because I was only doing little bits, you don't notice as much that you're doing more. And then all of a sudden you realise that actually I did 11,000 steps today. Where did that come from? I can do it. And then it just stops it being a big deal. When you're sat thinking, oh, well, I recorded it today and I only did 2,000 steps, and then somebody says, well, you need to do 10,000 steps a day. That's a long way away. Yeah. And it seems like a big place to get to. But
I think the way you broke it down for yourself made things easier to approach, and I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and something that, like, a lot of people come into the Mulligan's Method and have such high hopes and are like, oh, I want to do X, Y, Z. And actually, majority of the time get people to slow down rather than speed up. A lot of people think when they come in, first thing Justin's going to get me to do is to do a lot more than what I'm currently doing. A lot of the time it's actually getting people to do a lot less, and then you make much more improvements with a lot less. And I think for you, the way you were able to stagger your improvements going from 2,000 steps to 2,500 to 3,000, slowly bringing them up that way, has benefited you massively. Like your ability to stick to things, your ability to do it. And also, not only that, Sarah, but your determination. Like 2,000 steps is difficult. And this is where I suppose this is an important part, I suppose, to touch on for people. Is a lot of people would see, oh, doing 2,000 steps and be like, oh, sure, that's fucking pointless. There's no point in only doing just 2,000 steps. Or so some people, 2,000 steps is an absolutely massive challenge and it's hard to approach. But in that, it's realizing even the smallest things, even if it's 5 steps or 10 steps or 100 steps, as you said, that adds up over time. You don't even realize that. You don't even realize how far that extra 100 steps go a day. Is there any other small actions like that maybe you'd recommend to someone else that might be starting a fat loss or fitness journey or trying to improve their health? Is there anything you can specifically remember that you did? And it doesn't have to be anything that I recommended you, but just anything that kind of worked for you.
To be honest, it's just learn things, work things out in your own mind so that they make sense to you. That to me was the most important thing. Everybody, as a grown adult, there were a lot of things that I've heard throughout my life, and so I thought I knew stuff, and it was only then when I sat down and listened to things, and I thought, actually, that makes a load of sense. Things like, one of the things you say when you join the group is eat more protein, and I was like, that's what weightlifters do. I'm not some bodybuilder. I don't need to eat a load of protein. And it's only when you work out why and what it does and why it's said that then you understand. And so, oh, actually, it's no great hardship. Yeah, I can do that. And that's a really good thing for me. And it's really easy, but I never understood why. Once I understood, then it's easier to do a lot of the healthy things and a lot of the good things for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's where so many people go wrong as well. And like coaching kind of puts people down this route of like maybe Slimming World or Herbalife or whatever it is that you've done previously. You either stick to this plan that I have out in front of you, or you're a failure, or you're shit, or you can't do things, or you're not good enough. Meanwhile, I think when you create your own plan and your own way of doing things, which might not be aligned with these, there's no way to fail. Because what happens if we don't get something right? We adjust, we change, we figure out ourselves what way to do it. So that tip there is beautiful. The thing of just learn ways that work for you, learn about why certain things are beneficial and why things aren't, because what then starts to happen is you develop your own way of doing things, the learning in there, and with developing it yourself, there's no instructing. So this is what a lot of online coaches fall into, is instructing people, telling people what to do. And if you don't do that, you're a failure. Not realizing that everybody is so individual. As you said at the start of this, you work crazy hours. You do, work in a pub where the environment is probably quite difficult as well for health improvement. How the fuck am I supposed to know that? My environment is here with my laptop in my room where I can get out and go for a walk. So how can I instruct you on your life in that manner? And this is where everybody needs to kind of gather the information, understand and make those changes. And that's a huge tip, Sarah.
Absolutely. It's just finding the thing that suits you. Sometimes my days are 18, 19 hours long, and in that time I've got to work out exactly where am I fitting my calories and where am I going for a walk and where am I going to... It doesn't matter. I need to work it round keeping me going and making me able to do the things that I do with my life. And so that's kind of where we work now and what we do.
What would you say to people that say, I don't have the time to make a change, or I don't have the time? Because again, you're talking here about doing 18-hour days. And for anybody listening to this, I know for a fact you do it, because I see it every single week in your check-in that I go through and look at. And I know by even talking to you and how hard you work at everything that you do. But for somebody that is maybe selling themselves the limiting belief of, I don't have the time to do this, or I can't do this, or this is impossible for me, what would you say the step is to take there?
None of it's going to be easy, but it's better to, it's better to do the hard thing now.
Yeah, than double the hard thing later on.
So you can, there is always time. You just have to decide what's the most important thing you're doing with your time.
Yeah. And I think you're a prime example of that. And for it to come from you, that sentence is get over yourself. It's actually ingenious, and as harsh as it is, it's true, because as you said there, you have the choice, right? To do the difficult thing now. For you, that's getting up a half hour. For some people, that might not be the difficult thing that they want to tackle. Absolutely. Something else, choose something and make a change to it. But I think in that, it's that if you don't change anything, nothing changes. And if nothing changes from your current position, you continue to head down the road. It's not that your position stays the same, it gets worse. And if you don't start doing the hard thing now, you're going to face the hard thing with regards to health complications or something later on. So you have to make the choice of whether that is actually harder than the current position, or the sacrifice that you're going to make with regards to maybe getting up a little bit earlier or going to the gym or getting out for that bit of a walk when maybe you don't want to, is worth it over facing everything else. And it's that price of realizing, what price do I want to pay? Do I want to pay the price of 10 years time not being able to move around with my kids, or do I want to pay the price now of just having to get up and go for a walk, or face the slight bit of pain that I have to face in the gym while I'm deadlifting and lifting the heavy weights? But I think in that as well, with pain and discomfort, and with a lot of fat loss journeys being described as that, I don't think you have to hate it. And I don't think you do. I think a lot of the stuff that you do. So what are the things in the fat loss journey or the weight loss journey, improving? I don't even like saying fat loss or weight loss journey, the health improvement side of things that you've been doing. Is there a couple of things in that you've taken on day to day that you enjoy?
To be honest, all of it, a lot more than I thought I would. I never thought I would like going to a gym, ever, ever. No, no. Got to being 44 years old without going in a gym. Thank you very much. Don't need to do that. I am. But once I got in there, I really enjoy it. It's loads of fun. I get to push myself against myself. I don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. It's just me. And I like to be able to get better at things. It's something I think most people like to be able to do. And it's a thing where I only need to get better than I am. So I
Yeah.
can look at that every time, and it's great to just be able to go, well, last time I only did 3 of that, and this time I did 4 of that, and now it's better. So yeah, the last time I lifted that heavy, this time I lifted this heavy. That's good. I'm getting stronger.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then I get home and I can't walk, and I have a pain in my ass, and I think, oh yeah, that's a muscle. I never knew I had one of those, and it's
I
great.
think that's brilliant. It's amazing. Like, I think the strength training side of things, or exercise. Have you ever done any classes or anything before, Sarah? Like, say, not even weightlifting classes, but just any like sort of cardio based classes or anything?
So not massively. I used to do a lot of working out on my own at home, just because I spend my whole life around a lot of people, so I don't necessarily always want to be around a lot of people when I'm doing things that are for me things. I used to do them at home.
Yeah.
But before, about a year and a half ago, I found a dance class, and I do that, and I really enjoy dancing. It's just about let yourself go. I go there, and for an
Yeah.
hour and a
Sick.
half a week, I am absolutely away from everybody else and everything else in the world. There's 15 of us in a room, and we just shake about and enjoy our life. It makes
Sick.
me feel a lot better. It's a lot more of a workout than people realise. But it is great fun. It's one of the best things I've ever done, to be honest. And I've met some amazing people, and we have loads and loads of fun.
Sick.
But it's not. It doesn't feel like exercise. Being my point is,
Okay.
it doesn't feel like exercise at all. It's
So that's just like something you enjoy.
yes, yeah, absolutely, and that is the most important thing, is finding things that you enjoy. You can't do
Yeah.
anything better than
Because what I was gonna, because I didn't know if you'd done any exercise based classes or anything like that before. Obviously, the dancing is something really positive in your life that you don't even like. Even though when I asked you, it took you a couple of minutes to come out with it, because it doesn't even feel like exercise. It feels like
yeah,
something I just go to get that time by myself. I think that's so important for people to find, because regardless, right, with all this nutrition stuff and everything else, right, I will never ever be worried about your health as long as you have something there that you enjoy, because that's never going to disappear. It's never going to be, I'm going to dance class because I'm fat, because I'm overweight. You're going to
well,
go to it regardless, because you know it helps you feel better. When you're feeling better, you're generally going to make better food choices anyways. So it's a snowball effect of that impacts everything else. But for people, it's literally just finding that one thing that you enjoy and doing that. And as you said, it can be dancing, it can be fucking doing roly polies down a hill, or doing jumping jacks backwards, sideways, or upside down. I don't give a fuck as long as you find something. And I think there's so much power in that. And also there's so much empowerment in strength training as well. And I think that that's so underrated for people. And people just assume from looking at bodybuilders or the typical gym people that, oh, I don't like that, or them people are like this. No, not a chance. But then when you actually try it, you're like, fuck, now I understand why people like it. Fuck, now I understand where the confidence comes from with people, or why people walk around with a swagger when they have big muscles. Because it's enjoyable beating yourself day to day in the gym. And when you realize that everybody starts in the position that you have very at the beginning, when you were getting into the gym, everyone starts a little bit weak or a little bit unconfident. You realize everybody in the gym understands exactly how you feel. So actually, even though you might feel sometimes like the gym is the most judgmental place, it's a place that's full of people that are self-conscious and therefore understand the exact same position that you're in. So it's actually where you're surrounded by people who are most like you, even if the person looks different than you. And I think that that's so amazing to have that kind of thing around you or that place to go.
Yeah, I think until you get in there, you don't realise that people are not judging. They're not there watching what you're doing because they are trying to get their thing in. They're trying to do their thing, and that is what it's about. Is just go and do your thing. But also, I have found that everybody's really friendly in the places that I go to. They're really helpful. Can you help me work this out? I looked at some of the machines when I first went into the gym, and I was like, I can't even work out where I'm supposed to put my body in that, let alone what it's meant to be doing. So there's a little picture over here that says you bend this way. I'm like, no, I don't bend that way. I don't know what this is meant to be doing. And I just asked the guy who was there. I'm like, how do I get on this? And he showed me, and it was great. And yeah, it was really really nice that there were people
The funny
there
thing
who were
about
just
that is
quite happy to
everybody
talk.
experiences it.
Yeah. I must admit, it's the only time I do watch what other people are doing is if it's a machine that I haven't used yet, I'll watch somebody else use it to try and work out how I'm supposed to actually set it up and what I'm supposed to do with it. It's the only time I watch other people.
That's a good tip. It's a good tip for people listening as well, is use that. If you're seeing people in there that you're a little intimidated by, look at what they're doing and kind of go at that. I recommend that anyways. People start off in the gym, watch how other people use the equipment or use the machines and use it after them. And everybody starts off in that situation where they don't really have a fucking clue what's going on. And the fun of it is, right, any exercise that you do, it's movement. And movement in any way is good. So even if you go in and get the exercise completely fucking wrong, you're not going to injure yourself if you use lighter weights to start off with. And you're going to be perfect fine and you're still exercising. Any of those machines, right, once you realize the machines in the gym and all these big pieces of equipment were made by fucking Egypt. Once you realize that, you're like, I'm using a machine made by a fucking Egypt, moving like a fucking Egypt. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You're going to look like a fucking Egypt regardless of what way you do exercise. And the fun of it is in that learning aspect. And I suppose one thing that the gym does give a lot of people is that improvement, that rapid improvement, because a scale weight doesn't often give you that. Sometimes it slows down as we go along. So we need something that's more long term and something that we can get more improvements with, and that'll keep pushing us. So I think the gym is really, really good for that, because every day you can go in and improve your technique in one way, or you can add a little bit of a weight here, or change this exercise, or try something new, or do something. And that's where the excitement and the fun comes in that improvement, because with the scales, you might do everything perfect for 3 weeks in a row and your scales might stay the exact same. And there's feck all you can do, but like you can't change that. But what can you control in the gym? I can control what exercise I do. I can control 2.5 kilos on extra than what I did last week. And there's that constant improvement that gives you that positive feedback that I am doing something really, really good here. And then eventually what starts to happen is you move away from that going to the gym for the sake of fat loss, going to the gym for the sake of that, going to the gym for the sake of improvement, to the gym for the sake of feeling better is what you end up at. And I think once you end up there, again, it comes back to the same as your dance class. I'm not afraid of you regaining weight anymore. I'm sure you'll have some struggle times with nutrition or have things difficult. Everybody will. I do. But one thing I'll know for sure that I'll stay consistent is your exercise routine. And that's shown to make your health 100 times better already. Even if you didn't lose any weight whatsoever, I wouldn't mind, as long as you're doing something for your health. And I think everybody needs to do something. But what weights have you gotten up to? So what weights did you start off with? If you don't mind sharing, I don't know if you don't have to, you don't want to. What weights have you started off with, and what weights did you get up to?
So when I first started, I actually joined a women's only group because I did think that it would be intimidating going into a bigger gym that was mixed and just kind of helping myself. And when I was there, the instructor who did like a little class setup started us with really small weight. It was good because she was instructing on form of how to do it properly, how to do it correctly, how to make the movement right, best way to do it. And that was great. Very quickly, within a week or two, I started increasing the weights on them because I could.
You're stronger.
Yeah. Unless it's anything that involves a shoulder press, my arms, we laugh at my spaghetti arms. I can't lift anything upwards. Once they go above my head, my arms have got no strength whatsoever in them. We're working on it. I've got from 2 kilos above my head to 7 kilos above my head. So we're doing good. That's a big improvement, right?
Yeah, unreal.
But I mean, I really enjoyed deadlifting. So when I started, is 20 kilos, lift that. Yeah, that's little. So I'm now up to 70. I'm aiming before the end of the year to get up to 100.
Class.
We shall keep going. We shall keep going.
Yeah. When you look at kilo, this is the most dishonest thing in the gym. When you look at kilos in the gym, it's always like, I only increased 5 kilos in my overhead. You don't actually realize that that's like 12 pounds that you've just added on. So it's huge. And the thing is, with our bodies, we need to go up slower with the weights anyway. So like, regards to, even if you were stronger than your 2 kilos at the beginning to push overhead, and say you weren't weaker in your upper body, it's fine to start off with 2 and slowly build your way up with it. But for anybody listening to this that might be intimidated regards to weights, anybody that has started somewhere, like see Sarah here, again, started off with just a bar and 20 kilos of the deadlift, is now up to 78 kilos over a period of a couple of months, just slowly building on it. And again, the power that gives you, and instilling the confidence in yourself of, I can do this and I am able to do this, is amazing. And I think that's so amazing for people that struggle with their weight as well. Because when you're struggling with your weight, often, your weight is a bad thing. And in every situation, the weight is the reason that I am a problem, or I'm useless and I am shit, or I'm fat, or whatever. It's often the thing that comes to mind with people talking about themselves negative when they're going to certain occasions. So I look fat in this, or in certain rooms, they might feel worse than or less than everybody else, or in school, they got bullied for it. And all these things kind of stick with you. Well, for once, weight is actually going to be on your side when you go into the gym. Do you want to know why? Because if you're bigger and you're stronger, you're going to be stronger.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to move more weight. So actually, you slowly become the best person in the room at something. And that starts to feel really fucking good. Because then you see someone else come in there and they're only able to deadlift 6 kilos. And then you're in there and you're deadlifting 50. And it's like, fuck yes, I'm proud of myself. This is unbelievable. And I think that's where the tide starts to change. And you start building muscle. And actually, I would recommend everybody that struggles with their weight get into the gym, because the more muscle mass you build, the more easy it is going to be able to maintain your weight as you go along and further build muscle. But I can guarantee you, by the time you build the muscle, you're not even going to think about that. You're going to be so confident in yourself that you're just going to be like, oh, I want to get up to the heavier weights. I want to do this. It's not even going to become something that you do for the sake of weight loss. But just thinking about your journey there is fucking amazing.
To be honest, it's just about the things that you can do in life. I don't know if you can see these piles of boxes behind me. I have decorations everywhere for my pub. And so it's been coming up to Christmas. We've been decorating for the festive season, and everything's kept up in the loft. Normally, I can't help. I have to get the staff to go up in the loft and pass up and down the boxes, because I can't lift the things up and down into the loft because it's too heavy. I can't manage to hold it because I can't reach up, can't do this. And this year, I've done it all. I've done it all myself, because now, after going to the gym, after improving my strength, after improving my thing, I can lift up the boxes, I can put the things away, I can reach and I can do things. And so it just means that you can do more things with life. And I think that's the most important thing about it.
What would you say to someone that is sat at home listening to this, feeling hopeless with their weight loss journey? Because obviously when you first started, Sarah, you've got a good amount of weight to lose, and that can be overwhelming, and you can feel like, I'm never going to be able to do this, or I can't do this. Or listening to you here on the podcast where you started a gym, they're sat back and they're thinking, fuck, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. Or Sarah's different than me, she's a different mindset, or she has more willpower, more motivation. Is there any advice that you'd give to someone in that situation?
It's hard, but just do it. Just do it. Little step. You've just got to take the first step. Once you've done a thing, you can do the next thing. That's the thing as well. It is once you start with a little bit of something that is looking after yourself, then you can do every other thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
It just takes time. Have patience for yourself as well. Because
grinding to that 1 point of improvement. I think that's been huge for your journey, as well as when you're getting these improvements and you're seeing these things that you've done really, really well. It's easy to continue on then, because you're like, fuck it, right now I can just keep going, because I know I've improved at this, and now I've improved at this, and now I want to get to the next thing. Just for the first bit, until you get that first win on the board, until you can say, okay, I've achieved something, just grind your gears, just work your ass off just for that one.
Keep going. Keep going, because it's always going to come. It's always going to come. It doesn't matter how many days you have to keep going, and you have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing it. Eventually, one day you're going to turn around and you're going to go, "Oh hell, how did I get to here?" Yeah, I was over there, and now I'm over here, and it's a good place to be. It's a lot better place than where I was. It may not be where I want to end up, but it's a lot closer than I was 8 months ago.
Yeah, and I think once people realize time is going to pass regardless. Like if you decide not to do anything, time's going to pass. But if you start now, it'll be 6 weeks down the line. You'll be 6 weeks further on, and you'll be like, fuck, I'm glad I did something. I'm glad I just started getting out on 100 steps or 200 steps. You're not going to think back then, oh, I'm raging, I did that, or I'm fuming, I did that. But I always go by the analogy, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. You'll often regret not starting yesterday or starting the day before, even if it's not the perfect time waiting around for that. You're never going to plant a tree. You're never going to get the perfect moment for it. Planting the trees, the best time to do that is today, because you can't plant it tomorrow. Plant it today. So get that out of the way. And I think once that goes,
I keep having the conversation with her. She can't start anything unless it's on a Monday. Like, no, you don't need Monday. Why does it need to be Monday? Just start it now. Now is when to do it, because you can go, I've eaten all the rubbish in the world today, and I can't do this, so I'm going to start on Monday being good. It's not about being good. It's about being better than you've been, and you can do that now. Doesn't matter what you've done. Just now, do it.
That's bang on. You don't have to be good. You just need to be better, because I think that's a term that a lot of people use, is that thing of, I have to be good. I'm being bad now, or I'm off my food. And I think it's just that thing of like, can you just take one step today? Can you do something? And I think those some things always add up over the longer period of time. But you have a massive challenge ahead of you. Huge challenge ahead of you, Sarah. It scares me a little bit too.
Yeah, another one of those things where we just went, yeah, let's do it. This looks good.
So, 102-kilometer walk from London to Brighton. Where the fuck did you come up with this idea?
Well, it kind of, everything's grown. So when I started with you, I could only walk a bit, and then I got more and more and more, and I was like, yeah. So in the first place, I did a sponsored walk back in May, where I walked 31 miles throughout the month of May. On top of my daily steps, I did an extra 31 miles, raised some money for mental health awareness, which was great, and did that. Then through the summer, July, August, September, I did 1,000,000 steps for diabetes, where we raised money for that. And I also went and did a 10-mile walk through London over the bridges over the Thames. Again, to raise money for diabetes. I raised like over £250 for diabetes this summer, and did that. And I was like, well, what do I do now? I like to have something that I'm working towards. What are we working towards? And when I looked, I saw the ultra challenges online, and one of the first ones that grabbed my attention was you can walk around the edge of the Isle of Wight, which is where I used to holiday as a kid. And I thought, that'd be pleasant. I remember walking up and down those beaches. That didn't seem like a long way. That'd be cool. And when I looked into it, there was loads of other options. I was like, oh, wow, these are interesting. What's this? And so I dropped you a message and said, I think I'm going to do this. Yeah, now we're doing it. You're excited.
Crazy. So this tends to happen quite a bit within the program, because I love every single one of you guys so much. I want to be there with your challenges and things that you tackle. Like even there earlier on last year, or 2 times last year, a couple of people messaged me like, "Gushing, I'm planning to run my first half marathon or do something." Like, fucking count me in, right? I'm doing it with you, because I don't want to leave you alone in that struggle. So when you messaged me with this, I was like, "Fuck, I really don't want to do it," but it's a challenge. It's something we're going to tackle. It's something that scares me even a little bit. And so just to go back, what was the first amount of steps that you remember doing before joining the program? Do you remember how many you were capable of?
So at the point just before I started the program, I was literally doing 1,500 steps in a day. That was all I was doing.
And at the end of 1,500 steps, would you be sore? Would you be able to do more, or would you reckon that was you done?
To be honest, at that point, that was me done. Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're going to, like, let's say there's 1,500 steps in a kilometer approximately. We're going to walk.
Stop with the math.
100 is around 150,000 kilometers, or 150,000 steps. Sorry. So we've gone. This is a massive journey, right? A journey of Sarah from 1,500 steps to 150,000 steps in the space of a year.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's good.
To inspire others in what is possible in the space of a year. and especially with regards to the weight loss struggles alongside it. And we're going to try and document bits and pieces of it, of your journey and your training, and we might try and hop on a little vloggy podcast type thing like this, or I'll see if I can come over to you towards the halfway point to do a bit of a walk with you and see. But what pushed you to, obviously it was a challenge. What about the challenge where you like, is like, I suppose with challenges people are scared of them, but like, what is my question? Why, Sarah?
Right. Um,
Like, what about 150,000 steps seems fucking like a good thing to do?
well, no, actually, I do remember at the time you brought on new coaches. You brought new coaches into the method. And when you'd said you'd do a walk with me, I was like, why not do London to Brighton? Because one of them lives just outside London, he's at the top. One lives just outside Brighton at the bottom. So they can all come do it with us. They've got no excuses. So yeah, I thought that'd be a great idea. Let's just walk between
Just do it.
the place. Let's just do it. I mean,
Does it scare you?
I think I said to you at one point, nobody's died from walking. We're just going to go for a walk.
Don't Google that. Don't Google that, because you might not find the answer that you think it is. Is there anything that scares you about it?
Absolutely. I don't know if I'll be able to complete it without causing myself some kind of pain, some kind of injury, some kind of problem. But we'll give it a go. If you don't get up and give it a go, you don't know. Just get up and do it. If it's not scary, to be honest, then you're not going to bother, are you?
I think you're probably one of the most inspiring characters I've ever sat down and chat to. Just when the way you approach challenge and change. Like, a lot of people would be afraid of failure. Not afraid of failing.
No, not at all. What? Why? Why? Well, because if I fail, that means I've tried. And if I've tried, then that's all I can do. So I decided it's a long way to London and Brighton to the walk in time. It's not until May. That's quite a long time away. And I'm kind of struggling with building up my walking and stuff to get there. So therefore, before then, I've signed up to do a half marathon. I've never run a step in my life. Somebody told me that they saw me running up the street the other day. I was like, no. That was just my trainers, new trainers. They make me look like I'm walking fast. I don't do running. So I signed up to do a half marathon. Am I going to be able to run it? I don't know. It's in March. That's a very soon time to have to be able to run a half marathon. But I'll go around it and I'll give it a go. And we'll do some walking, we'll do some running, and hopefully I'll get to the end of it. Somehow I'm going to make it to the end, Once you start, you've got to get to the end somehow. And that was my exact thought with London to Brighton is, if I can get to the start and we can get going, then we'll just keep going. And we'll see how far we can get. And hopefully, eventually, we'll make it to the end.
One foot in front of the other.
Absolutely.
Is it? 1 foot in front of the other. And as long as you keep doing that, nothing can stop you. If we have to stop 4 million times, rest, you know what? It doesn't matter. We just continue on and we complete it. But such a monumental challenge and something to challenge yourself with. And hopefully people listening to this can be inspired and be like, fuck, all right, if Sarah can put herself forward for this, I can put myself forward for this, or I can put myself forward for something else, or maybe I can challenge myself to even just get outside the house today, or maybe I can get up moving. Yeah, doing it. I think that's the scariest part is over, because the scariest part is thinking about it. Do you know what you do? You didn't think about it too much. Just do it. Just sign up and then worry about it after.
Don't stop and think. Thinking is the thing that always creates the thing. Stop thinking and just do it. Just do it.
Because planning isn't, I think a lot of people forget, planning isn't doing the thing. Thinking about the thing isn't doing the thing. Writing down and talking about the thing isn't doing the thing. Do you know what is doing the thing? Signing up and doing the fucking thing, which is exactly the first step that you've taken here. So, with the walk from London to Brighton, what do you imagine it'll be like, and what are your hopes for it? Like, what is one thing you can be like, I hope I get this out of it. This is one thing I want out of the walk. What do you think that would be for you?
To be honest, my thing is just the achievement of getting up and doing it. I am looking forward to the walk. As much as I say I'm a really quite impulsive, let's just do it kind of person, I do like the fact that I've been looking at the map of where we go and where we're walking and what we're doing, so that I know where it's going to be. And don't get me wrong, I know it's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, but I do think it'll be enjoyable. And like I say, I think it's just literally the achievement of backing myself and going, do you know what, you said you were going to do that, you got up, you did it, and look, we get to the end of it, we get to stand on Brighton Beach, and hopefully somebody will fetch me a donut.
I'll get you one if you complete. So I will 100% get you one. I think I'll owe you one at that stage. We'll actually, to be fair, I don't know what you say. I'll go get you one. I'll be just as wrecked as you are.
I was
Someone
going
else
to
will have to go
say,
off.
we'll send someone out.
We'll have to get Rory, the organizer of the challenge, to come and pick us up donuts. We'll send that reminder to him.
Yeah.
But my question to you be like, regards to what you're trying to achieve, and obviously the pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and understanding that it's going to be really, really tough. What would be tougher is Sarah staying exactly where she was 6 months ago, 8 months ago. That position's a lot tougher than walking from London to Brighton, feeling
Absolutely.
stuck or feeling like you're in a shitty situation. So I think that people need to ask themselves that question before tackling something hard. What's tougher? Feeling like I am now, or the opportunity to maybe fail and the opportunity to maybe succeed? And I think wording it as an opportunity is important, because how many people on planet Earth would wish that they could possibly even try to walk from London to Brighton? So many people don't even have their legs to be able to walk. So many people don't even have the ability to get out of rooms because they're struggling with anxiety or whatever it might be. So again, you pushing it on for these people, the opportunity to win in the face of toughness or in the face of challenge is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
I don't think you can fail. You know, no matter what. If I get there and I start it and I get going, that's it. I've won. I can't fail from there on in. There isn't a fail, and that, I think, is just the way you've got to see it. Is starting is the thing, and then the rest of it, there isn't a way that it can be wrong.
Because what happens if we don't complete it, right? You've still challenged yourself. You still pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. You still walked. You still did more than what most people would do, and your confidence is still going to improve from there. So what? You don't reach the distance. So what happens? We do it again next year. Do you know what we knew on that next year? What improvements we can make? And it's the same for any fat loss journey with people that are maybe struggling with that and feeling like a failure with, maybe, as you said, your friend talking about feeling bad or guilty because they overate on one day. Rather than seeing it as that, just be like, oh, well, what can I change going forward that's going to help me? Maybe allow myself to have some sweets. Maybe allow myself to have more calories. Maybe allow myself to not feel restricted. And maybe allow myself to just do something small rather than tackle everything at the same time. But I think that approach of there is no failure is huge, because it stops the hesitation. And it's the hesitation that is the procrastination of doing nothing. And doing nothing is the worst possible thing you can do. At least if you fail, you know the direction for it. At least you've tried or taken a step. If you don't fail, or you're doing nothing. You can't succeed without trying. It's that thing of like, doing nothing is the worst possible outcome. Doing something is the best, regardless of what way it ends up at.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Don't get me wrong. I am very determined that we will get there.
Yeah.
Just not convinced that it'll be in the time that everybody would like us to get there. But I will get there. I will get there.
You'll be dragging me. I think it'll be amazing. And I think if we can get a bit of support out there, it'd be unbelievable. And for people listening to this, as I said, like, feel free to reach out via email or Instagram or anywhere, even the comments underneath on YouTube or wherever. But maybe a suggestion of a couple of charities, or if you're around in the area, have a look at the Ultra Challenge website, and I'll link it in the description below, where you can have a look at the map, and maybe you're in one of the towns, come out and see the two of us, come out and walk maybe part of it with us, or do something like that. I think that would be amazing.
Great.
It'd be good to have as much support as possible. Bring the donuts for the two of us. For the two of us, not just for Sarah. You can't leave me out. To finish this podcast, I suppose, on a note of what Sarah has in store for in the future. What are a couple of long-term goals that you have, or things that you see? Now, maybe you've none. Maybe you don't like to think, as you said, you don't really like to plan. That's okay as well. But is there anything that you'd like to come back and say, we're sat down here in a year's time, what is it that Sarah has ticked off?
To be honest, it's not specific things. I mean, obviously, it's specific things like the London-Brighton walk, the half marathon, things like that. I'd like to increase my strength, doing my deadlifts. But to be honest, I'd just like to be able to come back and go, I am still here and I am still showing up and doing it. And that's all I'm really wanting to do for myself. There isn't a specific point. I'm not a person who has I've got a goal set of how much weight I want to lose, or what I want to look like, or what I want to fit into. To be honest, if I don't fit in, I'm not massively bothered. But I'd just like to feel that I'm still caring for me first.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do that a lot before, and now I feel like I do. That makes me a lot better and a lot happier. So hopefully I will carry on doing that. And it will take me to all sorts of exciting places and things that we haven't yet found out.
Yeah. And my bit of advice for you for that would be the same as what you're doing now. Is kind of don't worry about 6 months' time or a year's time or 3 years' time, even though the question was that. It's like all you have to worry about is today. And so when things get hard, the only thing you have to do is make it through today. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about next week. Don't think about next year. How can you make it to the end of today? That's
Yes.
it. So like, how can I get my walks done today? How can I get whatever it might do? And I just choose one thing. And I suppose what advice? So, say Sarah is struggling in 6 months' time, or maybe there's someone struggling out there right now. What advice do you want to give Sarah regards to continue, and maybe when she feels like giving up?
Don't, because once you stop,
Point the finger.
that is the only time you fail. If you stop caring, then that's failure.
Yeah,
Just take it back to basics of everything. Go stand outside 5 minutes, just take a breath, look at the world, think, yeah, here we go again.
yeah,
Just that little step, and then there'll be another step after it.
yeah. And you've proven to yourself, and a lot of people have proven themselves, you can overcome hard things. Like you, if we come to a point where maybe you're struggling mental health or you're struggling with regards to weight loss, whatever it might be, you've proven to yourself so many times throughout this year that you're capable of overcoming hard and difficult things. It's the same for anybody listening to this and might be going through a bit of a tough time or feel like they can't make progress. It's like, fuck, you've been through a lot harder. You've been through a lot worse in your life.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you've been through a lot worse in your life. This is nothing. And so right now, take a step back, choose one thing, let's tackle it one foot in front of the other, the same as the London to Brighton walk is going to be. It's just one foot in front of the other. We keep doing that for a longer period of time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. Just try and make the better decision the next minute if you didn't make the better decision the previous minute, and that's okay. Because it's the accumulation over a long period of time that kind of gets you the results. It's not the accumulation over a 30-second period or 40-second period. What is that saying? It's like if one salad didn't make you fat, one salad isn't going to make you healthy. And it's the same as one chocolate bar didn't make you fat, one chocolate bar is not going to make you unhealthy. And continuing on with the habits is the main thing. And trying your best, because you're going to fuck shit up sometimes. Where fucking Egypt, you went in the gym, you fuck shit up the first time. I did too. Everybody does. The more you get caught up in that, the more likely it is that you reach that decision fatigue where you just get stuck and you don't do anything. That's the worst position to be in. Make decisions, do things. Fuck the biggest stories, right? And this is something that I've been thinking about the last couple of days. I'm fairly, what would you say, negative when I think about things sometimes, Sarah. I don't know how to describe it. I was thinking about when I'm on my deathbed and I'm talking to kids or talking to anybody that's around or whatever, what are the stories that I'm going to tell? It's probably all the shit that I fucked up, all the funny things. I'm just going to be like, oh, I fucked up this, did this crazy. So the more shit that I fucked up, the better of a life I'm going to have. The more conversations I'm going to be able to have, the more funny stories I can tell people, and the more communication I can have with people. And that's what life is kind of about, the social interactions. But you only get those if you fuck up. So fuck up as much as possible. It's going to be hilarious. Nobody's going to remember half the shit you did anyways in 6 months to a year's time. It'll be long forgotten.
Yeah.
And again, as always, you're the most important person in your own life, to put in, like, for everybody else. So everybody else would want you around for longer. Everybody else would, like, that's the one thing they would want over everything else, over Christmas presents or over giving them anything else. The only thing that they would ask for is probably to have you around longer, and they wouldn't give a fuck about a mistake that you made months ago, or maybe the fact of like you going off track with your diet. Like, it's unimportant. Those things aren't really important right now. It's the next step that you take. And but anyways, a long ramble to finish. To finish off, the last thing I kind of end these with, Sarah, and I know I said the last question was the last one, but any tip or advice that you'd give to someone now? One last thing, anything that you can think of, a sentence, a saying, a quote maybe. It might be a thing that you do on a day-to-day basis that helps you out. Anything else to help someone out today? It's hard.
It is.
Landing you on the spot.
You really have got me.
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. I think you've shared a lot already anyways throughout the last 40 minutes.
To be honest, the biggest thing is just don't judge yourself, and just allow yourself to do things. If today I don't feel 100% and I can't get everything done, I will do what I can, and I'll keep doing what I can, and eventually that all adds up.
Yeah.
You don't have to be 100% perfect to get to wherever it is you're going.
Yeah.
You also
Everybody's on a different journey.
need to know where you're going. Just keep.
It's also good advice because people get caught up in the, I have to know this, and again, sometimes I get caught up in the goals thing as well, and I share that a lot with you guys. You guys get pissed off at me at the amount of times I have to get you to set goals and goal reflections, but Yeah, I think it's important to sometimes not have them as well. But in that, I'll finish it off with that as well, because it brought to mind the analogy that I used with you guys last week, the chocolate bar analogy. And it's like, if you wake up with 10 cents in your pocket, you wouldn't go into a shop and try buy a €3 chocolate. You wouldn't go to the shopkeeper and be like, I'll have that €3 chocolate bar. You'd buy other things in the shop that are worth 10 cents so that you could have those. And so adjust according to how you feel. Just again, if you wake up with 10 cents in your pocket, let's buy something that's 10 cents. If you wake up with 50 cents in your pocket, let's do something that's worth 50 cents. And someday you'll wake up with €3 and then do you know what you get? You get your chocolate bar for €3. But don't beat yourself up over not being able to afford the chocolate bar, not being able to get the chocolate bar, or be disappointed. Because if you go into a shop with 10 cents and you're trying to buy a chocolate bar for €3, shopkeeper isn't going to give it to you. So the expectation should be that I'm probably not going to be able to get one. You'd probably look like a fucking Egypt for asking for a chocolate bar for 10 cents. It was €3, but a €3 chocolate bar doesn't deserve to be bought anyways. Unless they're for sale in Sarah's pub, then of course the chocolate bar deserves to be bought for €6 in Sarah's pub. But massive shout out anyways. Thank you so much for coming on, helping out people again. Hopefully people can take something away from it. And if anybody has any additional questions for Sarah, anything like that, feel free to drop me an email. I can forward them to you.
Yeah.
Or you're always in the comment section somewhere. You'll find her in the comment section of either my Instagram or YouTube somewhere. But thank you so much for coming on, Sarah.
That's okay. Thanks for having me.